So Tyler Perry was just named as the defendant in a $260 million lawsuit filed by one of the actors from his show The Oval, complete with text messages and at least 46 pages of accusations, which Tyler's lawyers claim were fabricated by an individual who got close to Tyler for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam.
Okay, now that's very interesting, girl. Let us hear some of this stuff that's in this lawsuit, because for his attorney to even say he got close to him, what does that mean? I mean, was that on the part of Derek Dixon to intentionally get close to him, start saying little things to get Tyler's attention, or was that on the part of Tyler being the initiator in things? Mm-hmm. And that really threw me when his attorney said that, because it put me in the mind of Christian Keys.
Yeah.
And what happened in that situation. And everyone is saying that Christian Keys got a payoff because he never called anybody's name as to who he was talking about, but he would say little things to make everybody start speculating. Oh, he's talking about Tyler Perry. Okay, allegedly. But he never came back. He never said a name. And so people say, oh, he got a payoff. Because around that time, his show was due for renewal. And people were speculating, oh, this is what's going on. Okay, he didn't renew his show. He's trying to get a payout. So that sort of took me for a loop there when his attorney said close to him, because I would think that if this was on Tyler Perry's part, then Tyler should have learned something from that incident with Christian Keys. So what does the lawsuit say?
Yeah, so that's the interesting part, because the lawsuit actually does mention Christian Keys.
Oh, wow.
And so as far as him learning something, all the allegations take place before Christian came out with that whole live that he did. Christian came out and did that live on December of 2023.
Okay.
He did that in December of 2023. And all the allegations in this current lawsuit take place from September or so 2019 until sometime mid 2022. Okay. So June 2022. That's when all of these allegations occur. So that's before Christian Keys even went live.
Okay.
So they're saying that Derek Dixon has filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles accusing Tyler of using his influence in the entertainment industry to create a coercive, intimately exploitative dynamic while he was acting on The Oval and Ruthless. He alleges that Perry promised him a successful acting career, but then subjected him to escalating intimate harassment and battery and professional retaliation when he didn't reciprocate Perry's unwanted advances. Dixon said he met Perry in 2019 at a work event for Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, and the pair talked over several months about an acting career. The lawsuit states Perry also allegedly made numerous intimate comments and remarks about wanting an intimate relationship and made several advances on Dixon, which he rejected. Perry offered Dixon a role in his show Ruthless, then later in The Oval. But according to the lawsuit, Mr. Perry made it clear to Dixon that if he ignored Perry or failed to engage with the intimate innuendos, Dixon's character would end in the next season. The case claims Perry always held this over Mr. Dixon's head, implying that his character would survive if Dixon kept Mr. Perry happy. As far as them actually mentioning Christian Keys in the lawsuit, even though these allegations took place before that, the man didn't even start to act on telling someone about the things that were occurring until after Christian Keys did his live. So he saw Christian Keys live, and even though, like you said, Christian didn't mention any names, the man immediately thought, oh, that sounds like, I bet you it's him because his experiences are like that. Now he files his own lawsuit against Tyler. And it's so interesting because as far as the getting close to him part that the lawyers were talking about,
right?
To me, it seems like that's a tacit admission on the lawyer's part that these text messages, because like I said, there's lots of text messages in the lawsuit itself, it's almost an admission that the text messages are legitimate, because he's basically claiming that the man was able to get close to Tyler.
Okay.
Right? So one of the text messages that I thought was very interesting, it occurred after the man had ended up moving to Santa Monica because of the alleged harassment, continued harassment by Tyler. And the man moved there, but he's still continuing with these texts back and forth. Tyler says, Santa Monica's nice. I'm glad you're going out there. How is your no? Is it stronger? You gotta have a strong no. The man says, yes, it's strong. His mom literally thinks he's gonna sell his soul to the Illuminati. She heard Kanye say that it's real. Tyler goes, well, I don't think that, but I do think that you have to be able to say no and mean it and make it clear. The man says he'll only say yes if it gets him an Oscar. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. I hear you. And it's so interesting that Tyler is telling this man to have a strong no in the midst of allegedly trying to influence him in the opposite direction.
Right.
And it reminded me of Cat Williams when he did that interview at the beginning of 2024 on Club Shay Shay. And he said that somebody likes to party.
And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
But you gotta tell him no.
Right. A strong no.
A strong no.
So it seems like Tyler was sort of giving the man the heads up. Oh, I don't know. All I know is that he should have had a strong no, not to be entertaining anything concerning something that he did not want to be a part of.
Exactly.
Okay, because there's something about he went to his house and he got drunk and he stayed over. Then he woke up and Tyler was in his bed.
Yeah.
And then he was rubbing on his thigh and the man jumped up and said no. He didn't say no. He said something about...
He said he doesn't get intimate. He's not into intimacy, basically.
Right. So
he doesn't do that.
So I'm like, okay, where's your strong no? Stop with the Millie mouthing around about it. You know, you see what this man is up to.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But so where's your strong no?
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. And in the lawsuit, he tells you where his strong no is, because part of the lawsuit, he says that although he found these messages from Tyler to be strange and untoward coming from someone like Tyler Perry, but being new to the industry, he played along by downplaying the intimate comments and hoping that being around Perry would allow him to showcase his talents as an actor and writer.
There it is. Where's your strong no?
Exactly. Because there is always going to be someone out there who's going to try to convince someone that their success, their opportunity
is because of them.
Or is dependent on them and what the person can do for them.
Uh-huh.
And when they aren't ready to just say no, regardless of, what they think the outcome is going to be, then they lead themselves into a whole world of pain and suffering and dealing with stuff like this. Because in this instance, so this man, the allegations, again, they started as early as September 2019. It started with Tyler Perry seeing him at a party, an event, and, saying, oh, you look like an actor. You're interested in acting. They exchange numbers, and they start this back and forth through text messages. And, occasionally Tyler's throwing in these intimate remarks, like he hasn't had good blank since before he got famous, and he's throwing in all these remarks, and the guy, instead of shutting that down immediately, he's thinking about, oh, well, he doesn't want to affect his career, things like that, and it keeps escalating till he finds himself in Tyler's house. One day they're drunk and he spends the night at Tyler's place in the guest bedroom and wakes up when he alleges that Tyler's filling on his thighs. And then, so that happened once. He goes and stays at the man's house again another time. And then he does it again another time.
Okay, so that's interesting because now it's looking like I've seen some people out here saying, oh, this is a money grab. Because all of these opportunities, he saw this man being explicit with him, but yet he goes back again. Now, look, we're not saying Tyler is an angel.
No.
But it's looking at this whole thing. It's like this man is coming on to you explicitly, and you keep putting yourself in his space because you're concerned about your career. But now you're not concerned about your career. What happened that now we have this lawsuit?
Right. What good did it do him not giving a strong no all those many times, only to be at this point right here where he's having to make all this come out public?
And so now
for himself,
yeah,
to be looked at in a certain manner.
Right.
It does that. Not having a strong no, not saying no, did nothing for him, because according to his lawsuit, the reason that he's bringing it out now is because he realized that he was never going to get the show that he wanted, the pilot that he wanted Tyler Perry to produce. It was never going to come to existence.
So you're in there playing games with this man.
Exactly. And that not saying no, it did nothing for him.
Yeah, because there were various opportunities to say, no, this is not who I am. And if you have a problem with that, then this is not for me. Okay, let your gifts and your talents make room for you. Stop believing the hype of all these Hollywood or industry producers and people telling you that they're the only ones that can give you what you want. Hey, it says, delight thyself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Period.
Okay? It ain't about these people. Don't fall for that gag that they're the only ones that can do something for you.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
God gave you the gift, God gave you the talent, and he also says those gifts and talents make room for you.
That's
you
what he
got
says.
to know that. You got to say no to this other stuff that's trying to lure you into situations that you know you don't want to be in. Okay? If that's not who you are, you don't want to be in that, then where's your strong no?
Right. And again, it really just comes down to the strong no. Because he could have been in his career in peace. If acting is what he really wants to do and pursue, he could have been in his career in peace as soon as he saw where that was going. And had he just said, no, he's not. But he gives all these other excuses. Like the first time something occurred, he says, oh, well, he's not into being intimate. So he doesn't do that. And
where's the no?
Exactly. Say no. I'm not going to do that.
No excuses necessary.
You don't have to come up with excuses.
Because you know what it says also? Let your yea be yea and your no be no. And that means without an excuse. No.
Because as soon as he had an excuse, then here comes, according to these text messages, Tyler comes back with the, oh, well, he's trying to combat his excuses. Instead of it just being, no, I don't do that, I'm not into that, get away from me.
Right.
When he says that he's not into intimacy because of basically religious guilt,
whatever,
then here comes Tyler.
All those excuses.
You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ.
Okay.
And he tells this man that, which is an outright you a liar. You a liar is what it is, because that's the enemy coming against somebody trying,
right, exactly.
Don't
try to use this man. Now for him to say that, and I don't mean Tyler now, I mean Derek Dixon. I think Derek brought the religion aspect up. He's trying to play on Tyler's quote unquote religious background or what have you by using religion. No, this is not the time to play that card. Still, it's let your no be no.
Exactly, because what Tyler allegedly, according to these text messages in this lawsuit, Tyler comes back and shows that that's just a front anyway.
See, so don't try to use that.
All that he's doing out there just seems like a front when he comes and says something like that.
When he says something like that, he's trying to put the boy at ease and say, okay, I ain't thinking nothing about that, and you shouldn't either. And that just shows you a lot with what is occurring with Tyler Perry and the movies and the shows that a lot of us melanated women are really concerned about, especially this last show, The Straw. There are a lot of people talking about that. It's like the exploitation of the woman and her struggles and always being downtrodden and everything. So, I mean, it leaves a lot to be desired when you look at, hey, Tyler, what's happening here?
Yeah, what it seems like, because when you really start to look at what's going on in the world today, when you look at what's going on with the Diddy trial, you look at what's happening with Kanye, the lawsuits and allegations against him, and you look at now you got Tyler Perry coming into this. One thing that all these men have had in common, but besides being the billionaires, right? What they've had in common is that they have all tried to align themselves with God in the public.
Right.
They have, Diddy changing his name to Love and saying that God gave him a mandate to help the people, and he was going to do this and that, and it's all love because God wants us to love one another and trust God, and God did this. He was putting all that out, and no matter what his actions showed, the complete opposite. He was always publicly throwing God out there like he had some sort of connection. Same thing with Ye. Ye had this whole big Sunday service thing, right? For almost a year doing that. Went to gospel and all that. And then you got Tyler, who's the same way, who every time you turn around, he picking up a mic and preaching something, or, quote unquote, preaching and saying something about the Lord and all that. But yet you have their actions not lining up with what that is to be a follower of Christ in that sense.
Right.
It looks like what's happening is a cleansing almost.
It's like Cat Williams said, an exposing.
It's an exposing, because all these people have gone on these public platforms and aligned themselves with the most holy God. And yet in their private lives, they are doing all this kind of debauchery, all this kind of craziness, and not really promoting the things of the Lord. These text messages alone are something that he just should have never been communicating this way with this man if he is who he claims to be on the public front.
Mm-hmm.
The same way with the actual movies that he does, where he exploits the melanated women and always putting them in a struggle where they can't overcome, where they just left to be, downtrodden in the mire.
Yeah, that is not a message
of encouragement, empowerment, uplifting, inspirational. It's not.
It's a message of these women struggling through life, always having a situation that they've got to overcome. And then, let's say when they do, it's small potatoes compared to all the stuff they have gone through prior to that.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's that scripture, it's a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
Yes.
So he puts on this form of godliness, but when you look at his shows, he's denying the power of God, because these people are always in some struggle fest where they don't really overcome.
Exactly.
And when you know God is a God of victory. It looks like this is a cleansing. You're going to align yourself with the Lord and then put all this foolishness out in the earth instead?
It's a cleansing.
It's coming down.
And it's a domino effect.
That's right.
That's it. That's all.
Let us know what you all think in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.